we have Ivy Ann from the Ivy Ann Professional Shears. Now you're going to see how these individual shears have an impact. I'm excited about you doing this because I've watched you cut hair at the Chicago ABS show. I've seen your passion for what you do.
Oh, thank you.
This is just not another shear company.
Not at all.
I'm enthralled by it because we work on very expensive products. We work on hairpieces, we work on extensions, we work on wigs, and they're very expensive.
Absolutely.
And the quality of the hair, when it's finished cut, needs to be in good condition.
It needs to be as expensive as the hairpiece.
Exactly right. Exactly
I
right.
feel it.
Exactly. Just give us a quick glance of your past and who you are and where you came from, besides Ohio, which is really good.
I know it's crazy that you're here in Cleveland and I'm from like an hour from here. That's crazy. Long story short, I've been in the industry for about 10 years. And in that 10 years, I'm sure you know, we've all spent so much money. My favorite word is bamboozled, and I feel like I've been bamboozled into purchasing stuff that just wasn't worth what I paid for it. The reason we really started this company was because I worked for another brand, and they left me stranded in Orlando after I did a whole week stunt in Florida, and Friday rolls around and they didn't get me a hotel or answer my calls or texts. So I hit up Dane and I was like, hey, I don't know what to do. I'm stuck, and he was like, well, we're just going to start our own. We're going to do the research and start our own brand.
It's called taking lemon and making lemonade out of it.
Oh yeah. And now we just have an overflow of lemonade at this point. We're trying to give it to everybody.
But to start a shear company is a pretty intense level.
Oh yeah.
But you had Dean, which we shared with in regards to do research, has nothing to do with hair and background.
He's a jet engine mechanic in the Marines.
Wow.
Yeah.
And that says a lot in itself.
Absolutely.
The other part of it is you're a hairdresser.
Yes.
And you really do behind the chair stuff.
Yeah.
That's really important.
That's what I love doing. Yeah. I honestly, even if we get to a point where I don't have to work behind I'm still going to because it's my favorite thing to do.
That's good. That passion's there.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, let's take these shears one at a time and show us what they do. I'm going to turn it over to you and let you just lead the education at this point.
Her ends are a little frazzled, so we're gonna bring her up right about here to where our weight line starts to get intense. And I'm gonna go in with my blunt cutter because it's the easiest shear to get a nice, straight, solid line without a lot of effort. Always tilt your head forward, even if it's just a mannequin. You don't want those leftover little stragglers in there. I'm just gonna go in. About here. I'm gonna go right above my fingers with my blunt cutter. So this is my blunt cutter. As you can see, it's got those two blades, the two differing blades that don't push the hair at all, but just going in and taking off that whole section of hair. Lining up to my guide, cutting it off. So you'll notice with these shears, it's taking me no time at all. I don't have to section off from, top to bottom. I don't have to try to cut the perimeter in, 4 or 5 different sections. With this shear, you can really get that full detail work. You can get that full line almost immediately. Say she's got extensions and we're trying to blend out some extensions, or a hairpiece, if you will. Once I'm at this point, I've got my perimeter where I want it. This is when I'll go in and I'll start slide cutting. Generally, when I slide cut, I start off with just our basic slide cutting shear. And what you'll notice about these shears, it almost looks identical to our blunt cutter. And the reason is this is actually a thinning shear blade, and then this is a slide cutting blade. And the radii together give you that perfect amount of force to get through the hair really quickly. I always work in pie-shaped sections when I'm blending my extensions because that's the easiest way to see how much of the hair needs to come out, if that makes sense. I always come 90 from the head, and then I try to find where the weight line is. And the easiest way to figure out where the weight line sits if you don't have extensions is to just comb it out and see where the hair bends naturally. And then I come from the top with my slide cutting shear and just in a downward motion, just setting it on that section and allowing the shears to do the work for you. That's gonna give you the best blend, the easiest blend. And when I say 90 from the head, I'm meaning from the bottom of the section, not the top of the section. So I'm coming 90 from about the occipital, roughly. Just letting those shears do the work for you. And you can see I'm not really taking a whole lot of hair out. It's just enough to really blend out those layers without removing too much of the weight or too much of the density. Once I've gone through and done the majority of my slide cutting, I like to go in with my 1010 shear, because you can actually slide cut with a true Japanese 1010 shear like this. It's designed to slide cut through the hair. So you can just drop it into the hair like you would a slide cutting shear, and it glides right through. Here we go, same rule. Just set it in like you would a slide cutting shear. I like to kind of walk it a little bit. And what I mean by that is I like just gently tap my finger, like basically to the beat of my heart is kind of how I go for it. If you feel like you've overdone your blending, if you feel like you've gone in too much with your slide cutter, you can go in with your 1010 and get rid of that weight line that you caused. So same thing, just kind of walking it down the hair. And this gets almost the exact same amount of hair, maybe a little bit more because it's a little bit more intense, but basically an identical shear to what you're doing with the slide cutting shear. This is a 60% thinner. What that means is you're going to remove 60% of the bulk if you go in 90, or if you go in perpendicular to the hair. So if I take a section, a horizontal section like this, and I just go in like that, it removes 60% of the bulk. But if I were to do the same thing, get that horizontal section, and then I come in at a different angle instead of this way. If I were to come in more at an angle with my shears, so more like this or more like that, depending on what your hand position is, you can remove 10% of the weight, you can remove 20% of the weight, you can remove basically as much weight as you want to, as long as your hand positions are correct with the shears. Hand position is so important. It's something that in the decade that I've been doing hair, I have never been taught hand positions until we started doing all of this research. And then when you get in with manufacturers, they really reiterate the fact that you need to have that education. You need to have that understanding. So those are more of our specialty shears. And I say that because, or our advanced cutting tools, that's what I tend to call them, because they are a little bit intimidating. They aren't good for every type of haircut. Like if you were to grab our slide cutting shear and try to just chop a piece of hair, it wouldn't do anything. It would just push the hair straight out. So again, that's why it's important to know what you're investing in before you do it. This is our offset shear. And as you can tell, this looks just like every pair of shears, you know. Most stylists have a pair of shears that look just like this. Reason is, these shears will do everything. The tips are pointy enough that you can do point cutting. These aren't perfect for slide cutting, but they'll work for slide cutting if you're trying to do some slide cutting. But these personally, these are what I keep in my kit, and I use them for just about everything. So if I wanted to create a blunt layer here, like it's nothing. You get that line like it's butter for real. But then if you wanted to go in and add some texture, you can also point cut with these shears really, really easily. That's usually how I use them. I'm a point cutting fiend. I love texture. So the other thing that I really like about these shears, like I said, you can slide cut with them. It isn't something that you should do all the time with them because there are better options, but you can slide cut with them. So I'll give you a little example of that. As you can see, I tend to always work in pie-shaped sections. Just makes my life easier because then you can see where the weight sits. There you go. With these ones, you do kind of have to walk the blade because they aren't technically for slide cutting. But because ATS 314 is so sharp and it holds its edge so well, it's got that razor sharp edge. Basically for the entirety of its life, you can get through the hair really easily. And then the next is just the matching thinning shear that goes with. Basically, it's our student kit, our starter kit, whatever you want to call it. These two shears, that last cutter and then this thinning shear, that is what we generally recommend to people who are just starting out, people who are trying to find a good pair of shears, but they don't really know, what their specialty is yet. They're still working on finding it out. These are the best shears to go with. just because they're good for everything. These are a 20% thinner, so you're gonna get 20% of weight removal, of bulk removal. These are also really good for texturizing because they do take such a small amount of hair. Same thing you did with the 1010s. Basically, this is the easiest way to find that weight line. Just bring it out. And kind of let the hair, do you see how the hair's bending right here? That's about where the weight line sits. So I'll go in, and I come in from the bottom so that I don't create any additional weight lines. So I'll come in and just give it a quick snip. And there you go. Same thing. And these shears are, or these thinning shears are the ones that I would recommend if you're getting close to the roots, if you're trying to come in and really remove weight from the scalp area. These are gonna be the best shears for that because they're barely gonna remove any bulk at all. You're not gonna get those crazy flyaways that happen, you know, when you try to do channeling or anything like that. You're not gonna get that. It doesn't really look any different at all. Like, it still looks like this client's hair the same way she came in, but there's so much weight removed from here without creating any additional layering. Seems to be a lot of clients want that right now. They're really interested in having basically all one length hair, but they want that movement. They want that texture. So this and the 1010 are definitely a good way to create that for your client. And then obviously slide cutting is like the easiest way to create movement without really adding any additional layering.
When you invest in any tool, whatever it is, and there's plenty to go around, you want to invest in something that has a purpose. And I have a friend that is just amazing. He has probably 100 pairs of shears from all over the world, but he uses them. It's not just like, you know, he doesn't have only a shear fetish,
Right.
but he really has a real talent. But a lot of what he does is really important, that he represents what you do, you know, cut for purpose.
Exactly. Exactly.
Well, listen, down below, you can find all the contact information, the website, more about the shears, but also some more education. And we look forward to having experts like Ivy to continue to be a part of our true educational force. Have a beautiful day. And remember, beauty and change begins within.